A little bit of R&D today.
Does that camera have like a satellite link?
Okay, let's give this a try again. Hopefully the phone won't ring. I'll remember everything. And I can get it done. Only with 4 tries instead of 20. Anyways, it's time to do a fishing report. And once again, here we go. Before I get going on it, as always, a couple quick announcements. One, we're still taking the email addresses and stuff like that for people that are interested in doing a spay casting clinic the last week of August. So keep that in mind. If you're interested, give us a note. We'll put you on a mailing list and we'll get everything confirmed probably around June or July. So that's going on there. I think Rick has a few little dates still open for some November steelheading. If you're interested, contact us through the Lost River email address, which will be on the end of the fishing report. And I think that's right at the moment about it. Well, anyways, let's get going with the fishing. And boy, has things changed from last week to this week. Wow. I'm convinced the fish ate me. I'm absolutely totally convinced they're out to get me. Last week we did really well on steelhead. We could do no wrong. We caught a lot of fish. It was great. It was a strong egg bite, a lot of fish moving, plenty of hookups, terrible landing ratio, but a lot of action. Got some great fish to the net. This week, completely the opposite. We have been struggling. Working very hard for a bite or two, covering a lot of water, just breaking out every trick I can know. I mean, we're using egg flies with drift management devices, indicators, to swinging, just any technique I can think, covering as much water as I can. We've been fishing a lot of tight little slot pockets so the fish can get concentrated, where the eggs will be concentrated, just trying to find a fish willing to eat. And that's on the bottom end of the river, so it really kind of slowed down, or almost, I'd have to say, shut down with the fishing. I'm going to start out with the water conditions. We did have some weather come through last week. Over the weekend, the area got about 2 inches of rain. That's what I dumped out of my rain gauge up in Eltmar. Water flows on the Pineville gauge got up over, I think, like 750 or something like that, 760, I'm guessing. Now, don't quote me. I'm just guessing. I can't totally remember. And it's back down to right around 500 CFS right now at the gauge. So it's tamed down with the runoff. The water release from the dam has still stayed at the 335, base fall base flows. And so that's continued. Water temperatures are in the low 50s, like give or take a degree, right around 52 degrees. Today's a little warmer. It's in the 60s. I got I got my fleece shirt off, so I wouldn't be surprised if water temperatures bump up a little this afternoon. So it's been fluctuating, but in the low 50s. So that's been kind of what's been going on with the waters. The leaves are not really bad. We haven't had a terrible. We've had our fair share of fun with the leaves, but it hasn't been terrible yet. So not too bad. As you can tell, there's a lot of trees here where the leaves are about ready to come off. So it's going to get leafy sooner or later. One good windstorm, I think it's going to be fun down here. So let's start out, since I talked with the steelhead. Like I said, they've been crabby. They kind of left me. They're being grumpy. We're still finding, there's still steelhead in here. Once in a while, we're bumping into them. We're finding them. I'm not sure if they're just off the bite, or they moved out and we're not having a new group come in yet, or what's going on. I'm assuming that a lot of these fish have moved out. And, you'd think that every day we could get a little change in here. So we've been having to cover a lot of water to find them. The egg bite is still on. We do find them a lot of egg flies. Not much with swinging. We're getting an odd fish on the swing, but most of it's been on the egg bite. Basically, it's been socially fish. I've been playing the odds. So I've been fishing like behind me at tight little cuts, slots, working egg patterns, dead drifting them, picking them apart, then moving on to the next spot. So we've been covering the water and just picking it, being very detailed, and just pounding on that water and moving along. That's been the technique that we've been using for the steelhead. That could change any day. Steelhead or steelhead, they do what they do. So we could have a momentary change. It seems like today's been a little bit better in the last few days. Hopefully we're on an uptrend. I'm seeing a few more fish bumped into today. The salmon, obviously I'm on the bottom end of the DSR, just above the estuary, and I've seen a small handful of salmon break up through the rifts into the river, into this pool. So we have still have a micro trickle of Chinook salmon coming in, coming through. We've bumped into a few salmon working through here. The upper river, where there's been a lot of salmon, I haven't seen any salmon spawning here. Most of the salmon down here are gone. Upriver, Ricky's been reporting that very few salmon left on the gravel. There's an odd fish here. There, most of those zombies of that river of the swimming dead has pretty much gone away. They've croaked and got washed away in that little runoff bump. Ricky's also saying upriver too, that gob of steelhead we've been getting on the DSR has made it up into the Eltmar Pineville float that he's been running. He's been bumping into a few steelhead up into there. So it's obviously they're working in there, and I think by the time this video gets up, the steelhead that are there we've been dealing with last week are going to be into the fly zones. And definitely it's going to be an egg bite up in the fly zones. There's been so much salmon spawning up in there, it's going to definitely be an egg bite. So up in there I would recommend size 10, size 8 egg patterns. Go as 8-pound tippet, 3X for you trout fishermen. And make sure you get a nice soft drift and cover the water. Same thing, fish to slots, fish to cuts, fish it carefully. Those fish are going to be hyper keyed in on eggs. The more further up they get, the more they're exposed to the eggs, the more like a spring creek trout on a midge. They're going to get keyed in on that drift and that egg. So the more careful and more precise your drift has to be up there to be consistently successful. It's not as much as fishing pressure, I think. It is exposure to the eggs, and the more dialed in that they get. A typical classic example would be with trout fishermen. As you get further along in a hatch, the more dialed in the fish get on the hatch, the more careful that you have to be on that hatch, and more carefully drift has to be on that hatch to be successful. Same thing with the eggs. The more up time they're in the river, the further up they get, the more keyed in and dialed in they're going to have to be. So that's kind of what's going on there. But definitely those fish are going to be getting into the fly zones here. They're probably, some of those, the front end of that gob is probably getting up there now, but there's definitely fish scattered all the way down through Pineville with that grouper in here going on. There is probably some salmon still up in there that you can still see, and probably still be some spawners up in there also. So that's kind of what's probably pretty much an overall view of what's going on. Like I said, the leaves are not too bad yet. That could be varied from day to day. Another note coming forward is that this is a transition week for myself. I got a few more days on this river of guiding and fishing, and then I'll be closing up my place, and I'll be moving to the western tribs and to the brown trout water. So I'll be doing the brown trout fishing. Ricky will be here. Obviously this is his home, so he'll be staying here, and he'll be head guiding with George and doing the steelhead gig here on the salmon. I'll be out on the western tribs. I'll be doing the brown trout thing. So we're definitely the fall's moving along. Also be mindful that a quick little fishing tip also with the eggs, but also pay attention to your water temperatures this time of year, because we get some really cold nights, some frosty nights, that water temperature could drop and you could have a slow morning. So I always say a nice cold frosty morning, get an extra cup of coffee, because the fish are going to be kind of slow, and concentrate your efforts from mid to late morning into the afternoon when those water temperatures start to creep back up after a cold night. So that's something else to be paying attention to. I think as of right now, it's pretty much all I can think of. It's fall fishing, it's steelhead time. We've had a heck of a salmon season, and now we're going to spend the rest of our time chasing brown trout and steelhead. One last note, a lot of you folks have stopped and said hello and say you watched the YouTube channel. I really appreciate that. In fact, today we're working on a video with some tips on fishing. I'm working with the egg bite and some drifting techniques. So obviously hit that subscribe button and that bell icon to catch it when we load that video up. I got a couple of, and I got a fishing video coming, because I know a couple of you've asked when's the fishing video. I actually got one sitting on the computer, and I'll be posting that sometime too. So keep just make sure you're subscribed and you hit the bell icon for a notification, because I got some tip videos and fishing videos coming. So other than that, see you on the water, and it was good meeting you folks that stopped and said hello. Good fishing. See you, folks. This is Jay at JPEG Guides and Lost River Fishing. We are a year-round fly fishing catch and release guide service. We fish the Lake Ontario tributaries, and then during the spring and the summer we also fish the inland trout streams, classic dry fly fishing. During the heat of the summer we will do the warm water fishing for bass and pike. If you're interested in any of our outings or have any questions, please feel free to email us at fish@lostriversfishing.com. Hope to hear from you, and if you have any questions, feel free to contact us.